Hello?
Hey, how are you doing?
Hi, Vicky. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Welcome to the Noble Pen podcast. Thank you for being on the show. I'm really looking forward to getting started here. This is episode 1 for us. So,
That's great. Looking forward to it.
okay. First off, how old were you when you started to write, and what inspired you to become an author?
Hold on. How old am I now? I'm 44, so it'll have been 5 years ago, so 39.
Okay.
It was mainly just because of my partner, because I had an idea for a story in my head that had been there a long time. And she said, well, just write it down and just see what you can do. So I did that, and I released Death on the River Weir, the first book.
Okay. Okay, and
I went from there.
okay, and can you give me a little bit of info about a previous book that you published, or something that you're working on currently, something that you're inspired by, something you're passionate about currently?
I'm passionate about where I came from. I came from the northeast of England originally. It's a place called Rye up in Sunderland.
Okay.
It's an old coal mining village. So
That sounds pretty cool.
Everybody knows everybody. My granddad was a coal miner. His dad was a coal miner. So I decided to write the Old Coal Miner's Lamp, which is one of my books, and it's based around that. It's based around the coal mine in that village.
So that would be more of a nonfiction book then, correct?
No, it is fiction, but it's got historical fiction facts in it.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of a hybrid thing. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I've used actual facts, and I actually spoke to a lot of ex-coal miners and used their stories in it as well. So I've blended their stories in with the fiction.
Okay, and just for the listeners, what is the name of that book if they were to want to look it up?
The Old Coal Miner's Lamp.
Okay, perfect. And what's your favorite thing about writing? What does it do for you mentally and emotionally? How does it make you feel? Is there a specific time of the day or the month or the year that you feel that writing is more for you at that time?
Mentally, I am dyslexic, so I can't write a story down in, like, I can't jot them out. I can't plan them out.
Okay.
So it's in my head like a film, like how you'd watch a film.
Right.
That's how I see it in my head. So I'm literally just transcribing, and what I'm seeing in my head is the story, and I write it out that way.
Okay.
If I write it down, I wouldn't. Even though it's my writing, I wouldn't be able to understand it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
The best time for me to write is during the day. I get a lot of free time during the day to be able to write. Nighttime is my own time, but during the day, that's when I spend a lot of my time writing, and when it's quiet.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. As an author, do you plan to basically stick to one genre, or do you venture out into different genres and write different things?
No, I write in all different genres. I've got historical fiction, crime, paranormal.
Okay.
I literally, it just depends on what's in my head at the time to what I write. But
Okay,
I do favour paranormal and, like, crime thrillers. That's mainly kind of what I stick to.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
and actually, I did do a children's book as well, so I guess that as well.
Actually, that's pretty cool because that's something that I wanted to venture into, but I'm not sure like what avenue that I would want to do that in. Like I don't know what I would want to teach the children or just tell them a fun story. So after I'm done working on the novel that I'm finishing up now, it's going to be called Love Scarlet. It's a romance novel with a twist.
Right.
When I finish that up, I'm going to maybe get something for children too, because I want to have myself in all different genres as well. A, to see how good I can do in them, and B, to see which one performs better.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I don't really go on what people are wanting. I go personally. For me, it's easier to go on not what I know, but what I want to venture at, what I want to
Right.
have a go at, not what the market wants. So I don't think you get it. I don't think you get a true account of what you can do if you try and stick to what the market wants. Can you understand that?
That's true. Absolutely. Yeah. So what you're basically trying to say there is there's a certain genre or a certain type of story that everybody wants to hear right now. It's the
Yeah,
going thing. But if you go to write that going thing, you're not staying true to yourself as an
yeah,
author, what you want to write.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Where is your favorite place to write? Like, what does a perfect setting look like? Is there a cozy corner in your house, or do you go to a coffee shop, or does it not matter?
A lot of the time, it doesn't really matter. I do have my own chair, room
Okay.
that I sit in, I do writing and do bits and bobs in. But a lot of the time, I've got my phone on me, and if I need to write anything down at the time that comes to me while I'm out, I'll
Yeah,
just put a note down on my phone and just save it until I get home, and then I can write whatever. If it's still there in my head as well as on my phone, I'll write it then and add it to whatever I'm already on with.
that makes perfect sense. That actually happens to me as well. Are you an author full time, or do you hold another job, or is this just something that you do as a hobby?
Most of it's full time, but I do help other authors with editing, proofreading, book covers.
Right.
I've published a couple on Amazon for them. So yeah, I would say I'm full time helping myself and other authors at the same time.
That's awesome. That's really where I want to get to eventually. Like I'm not the type of author that I want to go out there and be the next Stephen King and
Nah, nah,
make $1 billion.
yeah,
What I want to be is just comfortable. I want to make 50,
yeah,
60,000 a year, maybe 65, 70,000 a year, and be able to just be an author and not have to work another job. That's
yeah,
essentially what I'm working towards. And one of the reasons why I started this podcast,
yeah.
because I feel like if we network, like me and you are talking now, you'll
Mm-hmm.
post this on your Facebook
Oh
page,
yeah,
your friends will look at it,
yeah,
their friends will look at it, they'll come back, look at all the other videos, everybody gets
yeah.
publication there, you know?
Everybody benefits from it. That's the whole point, especially for
Right.
independent authors. We need to help each other instead of fighting each other. We've got to help each other because it's just too much fighting. Oh, you've done this. Why have you done this? I've done this. What does it matter?
That's right.
If you can help or gain from something that somebody else has done, and they've done it and they've been successful, why not say, oh, here, I've been able to do this. Why don't you try this instead of just biting at them?
I feel like
I don't get that.
I feel like the reason that people don't do that is for actually maybe a couple of reasons. A, they don't want to take the chance away from themselves to get sales. They don't want anybody else to get sales. They want
Yeah,
everybody to funnel to
yeah,
them. A lot of people are selfish.
yeah,
Secondly, I feel like maybe enough avenues aren't out there. Like a lot of people aren't out there trying to help other people or network
yeah,
or whatever. They're only
yeah,
going out there to they post their book on Facebook, they're on there for 10 minutes and then they get off. I've noticed that
yeah.
actually myself, that
A lot of
nobody
people say
really
that.
wants to read my book. They want me to check their book out.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, you're right there, definitely.
Okay.
It does definitely takes a lot, especially being an independent author. Well, a self-published author, it does take a lot more than a lot of people think.
Right.
It's not just a case. Oh, I write this. Some edit, some don't. Oh, I'll stick it on Amazon. I'll make $1 million or £1 million worth, depending on where you are. It's not that easy.
Honestly, I'm going to be honest with you because what's the reason of this podcast without honesty and
Oh yeah,
transparency, right?
yeah,
I was that guy.
All right.
I wrote a book called The Town of Witching Tree, and I thought it was going to be a knockout of the park. Like, I love it. My mom loves it. My wife loves it.
Right.
My sister loves it. It's a great book if you're into witches and Halloween and stuff like this.
Yeah.
But so far, I have 2 reviews on Amazon and 1 sale. So obviously, I was that guy. So there's a lot of work that needs to be put in here, which is essentially what this podcast is for.
Unfortunately,
now, that being said,
a lot of it's marketing. Unfortunately,
yeah,
promotion. The writing of it's the hardest bit. It's not.
no, because you can write a great book, but if you can't get that great book in front of the right people, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and actually, speaking on that, I read, I think it was actually just yesterday or the day before, I've been doing research on marketing and everything, which is how I got the idea to start a podcast in the first place.
Yeah.
It was one of the suggestions on the list, like, have you tried your own author website? Have you started a Pinterest? Have you done a podcast? Have you been a guest on a podcast? So that's how I came to that. And I come to realize that, like, they say over 2 million books are published per day globally.
Wow.
So I don't know how true or not that is. I'd have to.
Yeah, I can imagine there probably is. But you get those dips and highs of when books are bought. At the moment, I think it's in like a dip. Because not many books are getting bought. Then you hit the holidays and everybody's buying a certain time a month. Like when it's payday, then the sales will go up. That's where I think Amazon and the Kindle Unlimited programs could come in useful for a lot of people, because then you're only paying that monthly subscription. You can read all the books you want for nothing.
Right. I feel like that may hurt independent authors such as people like us or myself. Anyways,
I can see the benefits and I can see the downfalls in it, but at the end of the day, you're still going to get some type of review, whether it's from there or wherever else. But you're going to get it's another marketing promotion line that you can use. It depends on how you use it.
Okay, that makes sense. I got a question for you.
Yep.
Name a time where a book really encompassed you and brought you to a new place, and what is that specific book, and did that inspire you to write a book based on it?
Oh shit. That's a hard one.
Yeah, I know. It's a long one there, but I'll shorten it up for you here. Name a time where a book really encompassed you and brought you to a new place, and what book was that?
Let me think.
I imagine a lot of people's answer would be Harry Potter.
Nah, I'm not really a Harry Potter person.
Me neither. Never really got into it. I tried a couple of times. I plan to try again, actually, just because I want to see what all the hype is about. But I've never been that huge.
I've watched them, but it's never really inspired me to write anything like fantasy, to be honest.
Okay.
I think there's just too many fantasy books out there at the moment.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, I can answer that one. I don't know if you've heard of these 2 authors, Shani Struthers, and I think it's Sarah England, and the two really amazing authors from the UK that actually write either occult. Sarah writes occult fiction, and Shani writes like paranormal fiction, and I would say they've had quite a resounding effect, because I've always had an interest in like the paranormal stuff like that.
Oh, me as well.
So I think that kind of worked into the old coal miner's lamp, actually, because that hits on that as well. That's like a multifaceted kind of book. It hits everything.
Right.
But yeah, I would say, yeah, it's probably Shani Struthers, and I think she goes by S.E. England on Amazon. But their books definitely worth checking out.
Okay.
Another one will be what's his name? PGR Wright. He does a lot of historical fiction.
That's cool.
I actually did help him release his most recent book, actually. And I edited and formatted that book for him and did the cover. But he's definitely worth a check out as well, because he does a lot of historical fiction, and he does a lot of kids' books with his son and daughter as well.
That's cool. I've always had a thing for the colonial times. I've always thought that was really cool. So I would like to check out some books from that would be based in that time, you know?
That would possibly be interesting. If something grabs my attention, then if I can take something from reading something like that, and I can do my own twist on it.
Right.
Not copying, or what's the word they use?
For what?
Plagiarism, is it?
Plagiarism? Plagiarism.
I don't want to.
Yeah, that means copying somebody else's work.
I don't want to plagiarize somebody else's work, but if I can take an idea from what I've just read,
right,
not copying at the same time.
Yeah, you got to be careful with those kinds of things. It's a fine line.
Yeah, that's a lot of the times I'll just read it, then I'll look further into it, do my own research, and try and see what more comes in that genre, because there's so many that
maybe incur your own interpretation of that work.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you maybe base your writing style on others' work, or like, hey, I want to write like them, like not exactly the context, but how they write?
Yeah. I like as I say, Shawnee and Sarah England's. I like the way that they set the timeline, set the storyline.
Okay.
Excuse me. I like the way that they set the storyline, but I wouldn't say that I do exactly like them, because I don't want to be put in that category.
Right. You kind of want to say you did your own thing.
Yeah.
Right. Makes sense.
But I like the way that they write, the way that they set the story out. Because it takes, with me, it takes a while for me to get into a story. So if it grabs me at the very beginning, which their books do, I'm hooked straight away.
Yeah.
Then I can read their book in maybe a day, something like that, a day, 2 days. But and I never want to be accused of doing anything like that, because that could be the end of your writing career if you do something like that.
Oh yeah, for sure. With that said, now I'm going to roll into, have you ever had writer's block? And if you did, how did you overcome that? Like, let's say you wanted to sit down one day. I've actually been there myself a couple of times, not a lot, but I mean, have you ever sat down and wanted to write and just couldn't think of what you wanted to say? And how did you overcome that mountain?
The answer to that is yes. Currently,
I feel we all have, but my what I'm really looking for out of that question is, how do you beat it? How do you get over it? Do you just
a lot of the time it depends on when I'm working. I'll try and read another book in that genre just to try and get the ideas flowing, or watch something on TV that's in that genre, just to try and think, oh, I could go this way if I'm seeing it on TV and that's in the same genre, and I'll be, then it could just be an instant, I can take it this way, and it'll start again. But yeah, that's happened a few times to me.
Yeah. Let's see here. Do you have a pen name, or do you use your actual birth given name for your books?
No, I use my own name. I don't really see the. So, I can't say that because a lot of people do it.
That's another question I have for you. What's your take on that? Why do you think people have pen names? Why do people do that? Is it because maybe for privacy reasons? Like I feel like, let's say my book went huge and they're going to look up, who's Andrew Cherico, where does he live? Maybe that's why.
Maybe. Excuse me. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure. Actually, I don't honestly understand using pen names.
Yeah, me neither.
I've always wondered that.
Like I said, the only thing I could think of would be the privacy
Yeah.
factor of it.
But if your book comes a bestseller, why wouldn't you want to be associated with that book?
Yeah, well, I think it's more a safety thing. Like, you never know, somebody's going to try to come hurt you because they're jealous or something. That's how people are
Yeah.
nowadays, you know?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
It's
Yeah,
a
that would be
possibility,
nice.
anyways.
Yeah.
Do you have friends and family proofread your books before you publish them?
I do have one of my friends did actually proofread my last release.
And when they, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, one of my the writer I mentioned earlier, PGR Wright, he did actually proofread Confessions. Get my tongue together there. Confessions of a Killer for me, and that was my recent one. And he gave me a lot of different ideas of how to switch and move things because he thought there was like little gaps. So it's useful to have somebody that'll fill them little gaps in, that'll give you them suggestions because they could easily take them suggestions and use them themselves. So it's nice to have a friend like that that'll give you those ideas, and he definitely does that.
Right. And do you normally take the suggestions or maybe just some of them?
Just some of them. I don't tend to take them all, otherwise then it wouldn't be my book.
Ah, okay. That makes sense. That makes sense.
But yeah, sometimes I'll take them and take my own, take my own from it, depending on what he says. Or even my editor, Samantha Tallarico, she's down in North Carolina. She's been an amazing sounding board because she understands the way that I write. Like, I've been working with her since the very first book, and she's been there for me even when I've had ideas or if I've been stuck with something. She's been a great sounding board as well.
That's awesome.
That's
awesome.
There's not many editors that'll do that.
Okay.
Or they'll charge you.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Do you ever plan on writing an autobiography, like maybe based on your life in a different sense, or your life as a writer?
No.
No?
No.
And what's the reason for that?
There's just nothing really there. It would be a very short book if it would be.
Right. Okay.
To be honest, I wouldn't know where to start, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's, the reason I asked that question is that's something I would like to do. Like, let's say one of my books do make it. I would like to write an autobiography for my readers that states, this is how I went through the process. This is what I went through. This is how I got to where I'm at today, to help authors in the future.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I understand that.
Right.
I think the majority of mine will be just to get where I've come from on the map. Because yes, I'm living over here, but family still means a lot to me.
Of course.
Where I came from.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very proud of where I came from, and if I can give them a little bit of the limelight.
Yeah.
Then by all means, because I've still got family. I've still got a lot of family that lives in Rye and Sunderland.
Okay. Do you ever go back there to visit?
I haven't been there for a while. No, unfortunately, the flight prices is a little.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard they just skyrocketed recently. Actually.
Yeah, it's just too expensive right now to even consider that.
To even think about it. Yeah. Right. Okay.
I'm happy where I am.
Right. All right. A couple more questions here for you, then we can wrap it up. What is one thing, and if you really, give this some good thought, because this will really help a lot of authors in the future, actually ones that watch the podcast here. What is one thing you find the hardest about writing? What is something that you can't overcome, whether it be character development or setting or what book to write or how to write it? What's something that you really struggle with?
Synopsis. Blurbs.
Okay.
I find them the hardest things to do. is the blurb, so the synopsis for the back of the book.
Okay.
They,
Okay, and why do you think that is?
Because with the way that I write, as soon as it's down on paper, I honestly don't remember much of the book unless I reread it.
Okay.
So when it comes to writing the blurb or the synopsis, whatever you want to call it, I find it hard.
I have actually, maybe, believe it or not, I actually have maybe a suggestion for you here.
Right.
That happened to me with one of my first books I wrote. I'm working on my third book right now, which, that's not a lot, but I'm getting there.
Oh yeah.
My first book, what I did, because I had so many different things going on, right? So let's say I would reread the first 3-4 chapters, and then I would have a notebook alongside because I read my paperback copy, not like on any Kindle or anything. Okay.
Right.
So I'd have my paperback copy here, and then next to it, I'd have just a blank notebook. And I would say, okay, chapter 1, and I would write 3 or 4 basic things that happened to summarize those chapters. I went through the whole book doing this. Obviously, this didn't happen overnight. It wasn't a one-day thing. Over the course of a few days of rereading the book, then that helped me, reading over those notes, that helped me make the synopsis for that book.
All right, yeah, I could try it that way.
So that could make it a little easier for you in the future. You see, this is why I wanted to start this podcast, because you gave me a couple ideas. I'm giving you a couple ideas. All of our viewers, see how that works.
They can take from it too.
Right. How do you go about character development? Are these based on deep thoughts you think about? Or are they based on some people you actually know in real life? Or is it a mixture of both of those?
Yeah, it's actually a mixture of both. If it's an older lady, I tend to base it around my nana.
Oh, okay.
If it's a male, if it's an older male, I tend to do it around my dad. And
okay.
If it's like a younger woman, girl, I tend to do it around my niece.
Okay.
It's like.
And do you give your characters like their exact personality, or do you change it up a bit, or?
I change it up. I change it up because I don't want it to be like exactly them.
Yeah.
So I just take I have them in my head, but I change like the features, how their personality, the background and stuff like that. I just take them as a figure.
Right. Okay.
And just change the name, change hair color, eye color, and so forth and so forth. And so you have the one. Because sometimes I do tend to write down like the name, age, how they were brought up, the backgrounds, what the job, the parents' backgrounds. I do tend, because then I've got that, so I don't have to keep scrolling back. In the manuscript, I've got it there at the side, so I don't have to keep scrolling back, and I've got the like what's it called? Like a character reference.
Right. Okay.
So that kind of helps. Once I kind of have that like mold for a character. Then if I want to add more as I go on, I'll just jot that down and continue. So okay. I tend to do write that bit down. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I have one more question for you, and this is one of the favorites of mine, because I absolutely do. Do you have one character out of all the books you've ever written that you either like more or aspire to be like, or think that they were the best written, and why is that? Why did you select this one character?
Let me think. Because my books are that broad range.
Okay. So it might be hard to select one out of all those because they're all different.
Yeah. And I would probably say from my recent book, Confessions of a Killer, from the journalist that's in there.
Okay.
He's always searching for something, and that's kind of like what I do. I like research. I like looking things up.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, yeah, probably him. And my partner Laurie will probably testify to that too. So I'm good at looking things up. So
There you
because
go.
I'm busy doing that ancestry stuff as well. So that kind of fits in with that.
Okay. Like the ancestry.com, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Has that worked out well for you, or do you
Yeah.
find things you don't know about, or?
Yeah. I've been able to go back to 15 something on 15.
The 1500s?
Yeah, 1560 something on my dad's side, I think it was.
Oh, wow.
And 17 something on my mother's side.
That's really cool.
I'm quite enjoying it.
Yeah.
Finding relatives that I didn't even know about.
Right.
So it is interesting in that side. And I was actually going to base from, I think he was like a four times great cousin or something like that.
Okay.
That he actually came over to here, over to the US, and went to actually he came through Canada actually, but then
Okay.
came down to Peoria, Illinois.
Peoria? I've
Yeah.
heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, so he came down that way, and I've been able to find out a lot regarding him. So I was like, "Oh, do I make a story out of that?"
Oh, wow. So that inspired you to write a story about it?
Yeah, it's one of the ones that I've got on the back burner. I'm actually writing 3 different ones at the moment. I've got 3 in
So
the
you're writing 3 different books at the same time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when do you choose, like, how do you know when you go to sit down to write, like, oh, okay, I'm going to go work on this book today? It's just a
It just depends on what's in my head at the time.
okay. Okay, well, that makes sense. Yeah. Well, me, I've never done that. I start the project, I brainstorm the best I can. How can I make this the best I can? You know what I mean? And then I'll move on from that book and think of what I want to do next. Now, I have thought during writing a book, like, oh my God, this would be great for a whole nother book. This is a whole nother idea, completely separate from what I'm writing now. But I didn't start it until afterwards. So that's why I kind of seemed a little interested in that, because that would kind of be tough for me, because what about like
a lot of the time, if I don't write it down, if I don't get what's in my head at that time, I forget it.
right?
So
Okay.
I already had like the first. I think I got 5 chapters out of one straight off, because I already had it planned in my head.
Right.
So if I didn't write that 5 chapters out straight away, I would have forgot it. Even if I wrote it down, I wouldn't understand it. So
Okay.
I had to get it wrote down.
That makes sense. Yeah, absolutely.
Then I was watching something last week. It was some documentary I was watching. I was like, oh crap. Story is straight in my head. I was like, right, I'm gonna have to write it down. I can't just leave a note in my phone and say, no, I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll wait until this one's finished before I can talk. I wouldn't remember it.
Right.
I have to write it. If I don't say it, I have to write it, because
Right.
I've got notes here for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I've got notes in my phone for nearly 30 books that I haven't even started yet.
Oh, wow.
And that's just notes, and probably by the time I come to do them, I probably won't even remember them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, that would be tough with that amount of books there, you know?
Yeah, you're right there.
Have you ever used a character in more than one book, like transferred them over to another book and use them differently?
Yeah, well, not differently. In the old Coal Miner's Lamp and Ashes to Ashes, I've used the same. I want to say she's like a medium, but she's mainly in the old Coal Miner's Lamp, but I've moved it in to Ashes to Ashes. So it's not a Second in the Sieves. It's a separate book, but I have moved her into that book. So she's like cameo in Ashes to Ashes.
Right.
Like she shows up as a friend of a friend, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, just kind of like a guest appearance type thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right. So not like a
kinda
main
like that,
character
yeah.
then.
But if you've read, if the reader had read the old coal miner's lamp and they'll see her in Ashes to Ashes, they're like, oh, I remember her.
Okay.
It's
That's
like
kind of cool. You
it's
know,
like
a good idea with that, maybe potentially, I'm not obviously not trying to give you any suggestions or tell you what to do, but it might be cool
I
if you
appreciate
wanted to add that character into every book you ever write. That'll kind of be like your thing.
yeah. For the paranormal ones, yeah, I probably could.
Right, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, for that genre, that character's always in there some way or another.
Yeah, I probably could do that. Thanks for that idea.
Well, there you go.
I'll have to write that one down.
Right, there you go. That's why we do this. That's why we're doing this, networking and trying to figure things out here, you know?
Yeah, but yeah, that would be a good idea. She probably could go across a lot of them. Just like that paranormal type of. I don't want to
Yeah.
call it a series because it's not a series, but they're all based around Raya, where I'm from.
Okay.
So is
So they're all separate books, but kind of based on the same thing.
they're based in the same area, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So the actual places are real. So the old coal miner's lamp was based on the coal mine that was in Raya, and Ashes to Ashes was based around the old
You
asylum.
said was, so that means this coal mine doesn't exist anymore.
No, there's no coal mines in the UK anymore.
Oh, wow.
That was closed. I want to say in the 90s. I want to say. Then Ashes to Ashes is based on an old asylum that was in the same village, but then that was demolished as well. That was
that's really cool. That's
I'm
very cool. Yeah.
So I'm basing it on real places. I'm not focusing on the details regarding that. The story's just based around it.
Okay.
So that's like the center point, but not everything's factual, if you understand that.
Okay, so what you're saying is you don't, and with selecting these real places, you don't have to worry so much about explaining setting because the setting's already there.
And if the people that are from there understand the actual what the building is.
Yeah, the location, where it is, even how to get there.
Yeah, well, not now. It's not there now. It's a housing project now.
Oh, okay.
It's a housing
development, like the rest of the whole world.
Yeah, that's all it is. They did build another one, but it's not the same. It doesn't have the same kind of building that's on it.
Okay.
Because if you get to see the front of Ashes to Ashes, the building that's on the front, that's the actual asylum.
Is that in one of the ones that says like these 9 are free right now?
Yes. Yeah, it's
okay. I actually do believe I remember looking at that.
Yeah, that's the actual asylum.
If you don't mind me asking, why is there a specific time that all 9 are free just for now? Is that like a promotional type deal or
just for was it Black Friday?
Okay.
That's the only reason. I see a lot of other authors that do like 99 cents book deals and stuff like that. I thought, oh well, let's just put all the books on for free. And no, we're not really worried regarding the royalties. If people want to read them, they read them.
Yeah.
If we get a few reviews out of it, but hey.
Well, most people that I've talked to thus far, most authors anyhow, always say that, like, I guess the reviews are the biggest thing, especially with Amazon, right? So
yeah.
The more reviews I have, I guess this one girl told me a couple of weeks ago, she recorded a video to explain to me a couple of things. It wasn't a podcast. It was just a single video that she was explaining things to me. And she told me that once you hit on any book that you write over 50 reviews, that's when you'll start making sales, I guess.
I don't know. Yes and no, because the old coal miners lab's got over 121 reviews now, and I wouldn't say that it's went like really quick, to be honest.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, I would. I've seen a few. I've heard a few people saying that it's been sent to them in the Amazon emails as a recommendation.
Okay.
It hit over 100 reviews, but I wouldn't say that anything else has really picked up regarding it being over 100 reviews.
Right. Okay.
And the other ones, unfortunately, the rest of them are going really slow. So I'm not really. But then, to be honest, I'm not doing it for the publicity. I'm just doing it because I like writing.
Right. Okay.
I read them.
Well, that goes back to the same thing that I was saying earlier, that like 2 million books are released all the time. It's not even that the people don't want to read the stories. It's just so hard to find specific stories when so much is being released all at once.
Yeah, definitely.
It's almost like when I go on Netflix, I'm scrolling. There's tons of things on there. I just don't know which one to pick, you know?
And you're right there. There's too much choice.
Right.
Too much choice and not enough people.
And do you have any suggestions to try to help somebody amp up sales? Is there anything that you can do aside from what we're doing right now?
Ads, post on as many social media sites as you can, newsletters, send emails, have your own website. All of this I've done, and yes, it's helped. It'll help build your community of readers.
Yeah.
I know it's not. You don't want a particular set, but word of mouth is an amazing thing.
Yeah.
If one reads it, they tell 3 people, 5 people, so on and so on. And the word of mouth. I've even another good idea is get bookmarks. Get some bookmarks made up, and go to libraries and just leave them on the tables, or a cafe and leave a couple on the table.
Oh wow, that's actually a really good idea.
Oh, you can't do it over here, but I was going to say, put a couple in the letterboxes.
Like a mailbox?
In your neighborhood. Yeah, in your mailbox. Okay. Yeah, in your mailboxes.
Wow.
Stick a couple in your neighbor around your area. Stick a couple within the mailboxes in your area.
Okay.
If you've got somewhere, I've got a couple of my books, a couple of my first ones in one of the thrift stores.
Yeah.
I've got a couple, and they've actually been going pretty well there. I've got to take some more. There's a thrift store along not far from here that's got a couple of my books, and they've been going pretty well there. So even if you do it on, what's it called, consignment?
Consignment, yeah. Where they'll hold the books for you, and they take a portion of what they sell.
Yeah. Yeah. Even that helps, and it's just a matter of how you market, how you promote, is everything. But,
right. Okay.
Yeah, and you've got your Pinterest and everything, your LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. TikTok's coming very infamous for it now. You've got a lot of...
I haven't really, ventured out in that sense. I've seen like a book TikTok or something somebody was posting the other day. Yeah. She was posting videos about her book or something on those lines, but I just haven't really... I've kind of been focusing elsewhere right now. I plan to check it out eventually. Yeah. Because like you said, any avenue is help.
Oh, yeah.
This podcast could be help. I'm hoping. Yeah. Like so far, like you're the first, and I already have like 11, 12 other people that want to do interviews. So
wow.
Like you're the first person, right? So when I post this video, this is my view. This is my vision on why I think this is going to work.
Right.
You're going to post, when I send you the link, like when we're done with the video here, I'm going to make up a whole video, have it posted on YouTube. I'll email you I'll mail you the link to your Facebook. You'll post that on your Facebook. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now it's going to be on both mine and yours.
Yeah.
Now the next girl or man that I pick, whomever.
Yeah.
Anybody, really.
Yeah.
I think the next one is a man that wants to, he's next in line anyways. He is going to be on. His name is Darren Frey. He's on my page if you'd like to add him. He's a really nice guy. He's fantastic. Okay. Anyways, let's say when I'm finished up with Darren's, and Darren posts the video on his page. His friends watch it. They like it. Oh, wow, that's great. That's a great podcast. You know, you guys did a really good job. Hey, let's see what that other podcast was from the other day. Let's watch that one too.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's my idea. Like, for instance, when I watch podcasts, I don't want to say a specific name right now, but the biggest podcast in the world, when I watch him, it's like, I don't know who he's talking to. Half of the people I've never heard of before in my whole entire life.
Right.
But I like this particular podcaster, so I watch those videos because of it.
Yeah.
So this situation can be like an ongoing thing. I really hope it does what I think it's going to do.
Yeah, well, I'll post it everywhere that I can. So, and of course, all my social media, and I've got a newsletter I think going out next week. So, depending on when you send the link to me, I'll add it to my newsletter as well.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect.
I'll try and add it to my website as well.
Right. All right. Perfect. Thank you very much for that. You know, and I hope this helps you as much as it helps me. I had a great time. You know, it was a great first podcast. I thank you for your time, and I will get you this video tonight. I don't know when it's going to be. I'm having a little bit of trouble on like what video maker I want to use. I got a couple of different effects I want to add to it.
Right.
So once I get that all spun down and everything put together, I will send that out to you as soon as I'm done.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much, Vicky.
You're very welcome.
Keep in touch. You know, we need to do this again. We'll catch up maybe once a month, once every other month, and we'll do another one.
Sounds good to me. Just contact me and just let me know.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Have a good one.
You too. Bye.